Hello, this is a demo on the pitch deck assets zip that I'm providing you to create your PDF pitch deck. So I'm going to walk you through what is in this zip as well as where to go get additional free mockups, how to use Photoshop mockups, and how to put together your pitch decks for the final presentation. Let's get started. So you will download the pitch assets zip off of Canvas, and this is what you're going to find inside. I have a pitch deck InDesign template. I have the PDF of what the InDesign file looks like for reference, so we'll walk through that. And then I just have a bunch of Photoshop mockups that I just had on my computer that seemed relevant to what you may or may not need. There is a pretty decent one in this stationery mockup for your business card, letterhead, and envelope if you would like to use it. You can also go and get your own mockups. All right, so let's start with just the pitch template. So here is the PDF of my InDesign file. I'm giving you all of the slides that you need as outlined in the assignment on Canvas. The template is very blank. You can add as much design flair as you'd like, or you can keep it completely neutral to let your designs stand on their own. It is your choice. You can change the typeface, change the colors. Just do not change the size ratio. As you can see, it fits beautifully in a monitor. So you'll have a title, you'll have your summarizing slide that's just very high level, couple sentences, who your client is, what they asked you to do, why you're doing what you're doing, those kind of sentences. Example would be for Heart and Eagle, a high-end birdhouse builder using vintage wood, looking for an updated logo to reflect their tactile style. Obviously just made that up, something like that. The next slide is going to list those primary brand attributes that your logo is striving to communicate, that your visual identity is striving to communicate. For Heart and Eagle, you had a bunch of adjectives written down. They could have been things like handmade, vintage, rough, hardworking, community, those sorts of words. You would list those here. Then you're going to show your logo. This slide will look a lot like that finished logo PDF you put together for your country logo, where you're going to have your primary logo and color nice and big, and then any additional logos that you've developed for this client, for this project, listed here. Have your small captions identifying the use of each logo, just like on that PDF that you made for the country logo when you turned in that project. Then you're going to include any brand elements. So if you have a color palette, typefaces, patterns, graphics, photography style, whatever the visual tone that you ended up developing for this deck, you're going to just break out the various elements on this one slide, nicely arranged. Think of it like a mood board page. We're going to get into the 6 things that you designed for your client. The first one being your corporate identity, your business cards, your letterhead, and your envelope. You can either show everything just mocked up or flat and mocked up, but I do want to see all of your designs in a mocked up visual. So this would be an example of showing it flat. The next page is showing it mocked up. This is the slide of the template that I'm providing you, so if you'd like to use this one, you can, or you can go find a different one. Make sure the template that you select, if you're just going to do a mock-up, shows all sides of all things you've designed. So if you've designed 2 sides to your stationery, you're going to have to alter this mock-up or find a different one that will show you the front and the back of the stationery. Otherwise, you can use any mock-up that you like and show the work flat on this previous slide. Okay, and that's all said in this red text in the template that you can read and then delete, of course. Okay, so after your corporate identity materials, you will then show the other 3 things that you've designed. in the same style. So whether it's one giant mock-up image or it's 2 slides or a combination showing flat and mocked up work, it's however you choose to lay it out. We want to be able to see what you've designed, and we want to see it looking fantastic in situation. And I will show you some examples of what that might look like next. So these next 3 slides look identical. They just look like this. And they're followed by a simple thank you slide. Okay? So all of that is in this InDesign file. And you can change the margins and the columns if you'd like, change the typeface, change the colors. I'm just giving you the basic framework of what you should include. And again, you can see that was a corporate identity slide, flat. This was the image. And then I have just image boxes for you in these other 3 bits. Nothing is on the parent page. It's all right here. Very straightforward and easy to use. When you're done designing your pitch deck PDF, you'll save it, of course, and package it. And then you'll just do File, Export out a PDF. And that is what we'll share with the class. Okay, so step 1 is you're designing everything as flat art in the software of your choice, whether that's Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign, depending on what you're making, business cards, butt shelters, whatever. The second part is you're going to then put your flat art into these mock-up templates. So there are some mock-up templates in here. I kind of have them in just various folders like apparel, premiums, signs. This is the website that I recommend to go find additional mock-up templates. There are a bazillion sites out there. I think this one's pretty good, mockupworld.co. I think it's fairly easy to use, and you just have to be careful of getting off onto other sites through all the ads, right? They're trying to make money with advertising. All right, if you're looking for something specific, you could try typing it up here in the search bar. Otherwise, there's just these categories that seem to have just about anything that you might be looking for. Let's make some vehicles. That sounds fun. Okay, so some of these are free, like this. Most of these are free. Some of these are going to take you off this is an ad. This is taking you to a different site. Avanto, they want you to pay for their templates. These are ads. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for these that say free. Oh, here's some skateboards. That's fun. All right, so we'll click on the skateboards. It says free download. You're looking for PSDs most likely as your file type. So we'll download this. So these have all been made by various designers. The quality of the templates is going to vary from template to template. So this took me to this person's Behance page who made the template. And it says free download. So I'm going to click that. Download. It's either going to end up giving you a zip file with multiple files inside of it or just a straightforward PSD like this one did. All right, so now it's downloaded. Maybe I'll stick it over here for us so you'll see it when you make your templates. Maybe someone will make a skateboard. All right, let's open the skateboard template and see how it looks. Okay, so all of these Photoshop templates are going to work about the same way. There's the layers panel is really where you're going to get all of your information on how to use the template. Almost every template file will have a nicely colored and labeled layer that says your artwork here. And that is where you're going to put your artwork. And then there's various other layers that have the different like details or background images on the template. And you can turn stuff on and off to see the various layers and how stuff is working. So if you want to edit the design at all, like maybe you don't like the noise in this background or you want to change the background color, you can affect these various layouts as well, or layers as well. Okay, so maybe I'm going to change the background, I'm going to turn off the noise. It looked like if I wanted to change the details, like the wheel color, I could do that here. Let's see, maybe I want the wheels to be a different color. So you can see I'm just turning layers on and off, and here's the color of the wheels. We'll make it blue. So most of these templates are highly customizable, so you can change the background colors and all the various details to reflect your brand's visual style and colors. All right, let's change up the artwork though. All right, so it says your design here front. You'll notice these layers have this little inset image in them. Those are the layers you're looking for. So you double click on this smart object thumbnail, and it's going to open a separate Photoshop file named a PSD file. Okay, this is the file where you place your artwork. So you can see there's a bunch of other artwork already in this one. We obviously don't need any of that because we're going to put our own artwork in here, so we'll just delete it. Here's just one random blue layer. We're going to place our artwork in here. So okay, so now we're going to go to our artwork that we've created. So in Illustrator, let's assume that I created this pattern, which I didn't, I just downloaded it off the internet. You guys created your own stuff. So I have this pattern that I've developed. This is my company, my client's logo, BizNow, and I'm going to have created some flat artwork that is about the same size as where I'm looking to place it. So this is, I can see over here in the properties panel, this is say 1.4 by 5.5. So over here, what did I make this? Oops, pixels are not helpful. Alright, so this is way bigger. Let's see, what did we say it was? 1.5 by 5.5. And then we'll make it. So now that I've locked that ratio in, I'm just going to scale it up to make it fit my artwork better. Alright, so here's my skateboard. Let's say we're going to do one skateboard that is, we'll just make it the BizNow orange, because our template had 2 skateboards if you recall. And we'll stick our logo in there. So you have hopefully decided what you're making before you got this far. But if you are looking for mock-up templates to kind of give you some inspiration as far as what you might want to create, you should definitely look at the approximate size ratio of the different things, like a skateboard, so that you design your artwork to match. And then you could have one giant Illustrator file with all your various designs in them, which makes it really easy to duplicate, copy, and paste various things that you've created to create these different assets. So you can see I'm just opening up this pattern to get to the clip group to see what else is in here. As you can see, there's more artwork, which is what I was hoping for. Okay. And then I'll just kind of move it so that I like the crop on this. All right, so here's my 2 skateboards. Maybe we want this to be, that looks cool. Okay, so we are going to save this file because we made some edits. We're going to call it pitch deck example. Okay. Now, you can either bring in Illustrator artboards into your Photoshop templates, or you can export these out as JPEGs or PNGs, flat art, if that is less confusing for you. So if you wanted to make some flat art, we would just go up under File, Export, Export for Screens. Click on the artboards that you want to export, choose where you want them to go. Since we built these way super big, exporting them out at the actual size as PNGs works for us. You can choose JPEGs as well. You can also choose SVGs, which are still vector, and PDFs. For what we're doing, a PNG or JPEG will be fine. If you ended up building stuff and then you bring it into Photoshop and it's way too tiny, you can export out your artwork because it's vector at like 400% scale, 300% scale, whatever, to get it larger, so it doesn't look blurry in the mockups. A lot of the mockup templates are humongous. All right, so let's export out these artboards. Okay, they're right here. I should probably label them something better than artboard 58, but it's fine for now. All right, so we're going to place in our artwork back in Photoshop. So File, Place. If you place in linked vector artwork, you can go back into Illustrator and edit it on the fly and see it automatically update, which is super awesome. If that seems complicated, just place embedded PNG files into your Photoshop document. So we'll do that first, and then I'll show you the other way as well. Where are we? Here we are. Place. All right, so you can see my file isn't quite to scale, so I could either be bad and stretch it out, or I could go back into Illustrator and make something a little bit taller, which would be the right way to do it. All right, so just for demo's sake, this artwork is now in here. I'm going to save it, and then you close this PSB file, and now you can see we are back in the Photoshop template and my one skateboard has been updated. So that's cool. I don't really like how the wheels are on top of Biz Now, so I might go back and make the logo actually smaller to fit inside the center of the skateboard. Let's place in the other skateboard artwork though, so you can see how that works. Here's the other one. Delete all of the stuff that was already in there. We are going to place in some linked Illustrator file now. So this is the Illustrator file that had multiple artboards in play. I'm going to hit place. It's going to ask me which artboard I want. I want this one. I'm going to hit OK. And you can see it's in here. I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to go back into Illustrator, and I'm going to make this artboard a little bit taller because I messed up typing in the height apparently. So we'll make it taller. We'll make this one taller too. Okay. And now let me go find the clipping group. We'll make the clipping group taller. Oops. Okay. Looks like that's the top of the artwork. So we will have to repeat the pattern, which is fine. Just do this. Select it. Duplicate it. Send it to back. And then line it up because I'm pretty sure it's a repeating pattern. There we go. There, perfect. All right, so I'm going to save this. You got to save it. Now when I go back into Photoshop, you can see it automatically updated. Now there's artwork on top and bottom. Wasn't that cool? All right. There, I like that. I'll hit save. I'm going to close this layer, and now you can see that other skateboard is right there. Really neat, right? So you can just keep double clicking into these various layers and changing the artwork. So like I wanted to make Biz Now smaller. I can eyedropper this gray and fill it down here. Save it, close it, and you can see it's automatically been changed. So it's going to be a little bit of going back and forth and making your art look like how you want it to look. I kind of want it to go that direction. Make it still a little smaller. Save. There, that's looking better, right? Okay, so once you're happy with your Photoshop mockups, you're going to save not only the Photoshop file, but you're also going to save a copy. And you're going to make it JPEG, a TIFF, a PNG, something flat that you can then place into your InDesign file. I would save a copy of the templates with your customization to it so that you always have the original downloaded mockup template that you can just save on your computer for future use. And then when you're all done messing around with the template, I would export it out or save a copy as a flat lower resolution file. Otherwise, your InDesign file is going to be ginormous if you have all these layered Photoshop documents linked to it. So back in InDesign, if this was one of the 3 extra things I made, I would open my InDesign template, would go down to this one, and you can see I can delete that. I don't need it. This is going to be skateboard, and then select the image box, do file, place, navigate to my skateboard. Where did he go? Skateboard. Open. Perfect. And then I will obviously lay it out where I like how it looks. When stuff comes in and it looks all blurry, that's fine. You just right click and you do display performance, high quality. You are just showing the stuff on the screen, so you're just looking for 72 DPI at 100%. Resolution should not be an issue when you're downloading these templates and using them. So you can see that looks pretty cool. 1 slide down, 2 more to go. Okay, so that is how you're going to use the mockup templates. I recommend you checking out mockupworld.co for where to go get some free Photoshop templates. The other thing you can do is if you want to make some signs, like a bus shelter, a subway sign, you actually don't have to spend all your time digging through these mock-up templates. You can just download high-resolution, royalty-free images on a website like Pixabay or Pexels, wherever you like to go to get free high-res images. And I can do something like subway poster. And again, be careful, this is a link to iStock where they'll charge you money, but the rest of these are all free high-resolution images. So maybe I want to use something like this image. Ah, they got me. It was an ad. Back. If these royalty-free websites don't have exactly what you're looking for, you can also just try images.google.com. And if we search for something like subway advertisement, and then we use our tools to only find large images, you can grab anything over here that looks good as well. Something like this would be nice, right? And that's, I can see a very large image, so that will totally work for us. Save image. Back in Photoshop, file, open this file. Okay, so first I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file. Okay, so in an image like this, if you want to use this for your mock-up, all you have to do is create some new layers and kind of cut out where you want your artwork to go. So let's say perhaps I've created a series of square posters. I can use the lasso tool to cut out the shape. I'll fill it with a color for now. And I'm going to actually, since I'm doing multiple posters, I would want each poster to be on its own layer to make this super simple. I'll just do 2 for now. So anything that's like a sign where you're really just putting a rectangle in place, it's pretty straightforward. You don't really need a mock-up template to do that. So there we can put 2 signs in right there. All right, so back in my Illustrator file, let's say I have this on top of it. That we're making black for now, so you can see it. All right, let's call that our poster for now. Okay, save. So again, I could export out this as a flat JPEG or a PNG, or I could just put the Illustrator file right into Photoshop, and then I can edit it in Illustrator again as I need to. So we're going to do it that way. I'm going to zoom in on this second ad. Okay, so I'm going to do File, Place Linked. That way I can go back and edit my Illustrator file if I need to. If you're placing linked art, it's very important that you're working in one job folder so that your computer doesn't get confused as far as where stuff is. If you start moving things around, it's going to forget where stuff is, and you'll have to relink it again. Okay, so here's my artwork. It's really big. Let's make it smaller. Okay, so to get this in here on that same perspective plane, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit so I can see the background and my artwork. And now I'm just going to shrink it down to be, you know, about the right size. I like it bigger than smaller, and sort of lined up with some edges. So that looks pretty good to me. The next thing I'm going to do is I have to use the distort tool is the tool that you're looking for. It does not work if your artwork is linked. So that is the bummer. So make sure you basically like how this looks. Then you're going to right click and hit rasterize layer. It's no longer linked art. But now you can do edit, transform, distort, and move the 4 corners of your poster to line up with the 4 corners of the artwork area, like so. Turn the opacity back to 100, and voila, you have your own poster on the subway. So that, again, super simple. Anything that's flat like this for subway ads, bus shelters, billboards, posters on the sides of buildings. You can find a template mockup, but if you don't find one that you like, you can just find any image that you think will work for you, and you can place it in this way. You don't have to get super into the Photoshop trying to like recreate some of like the tile texture on top of it. This is really to show your client their work and how it looks awesome. So don't spend a ton of time making your Photoshop mockups look 1000% realistic. This amount of realism is perfectly fine with me. Again, so I would save this Photoshop file. I probably would save a copy of it as a JPEG, and I would place it in my InDesign template. I'll call this transit advertising. File place. See, I put this in a crummy spot. It's in my downloads folder. Subway ad. And there you go. So I would obviously, if this was my real pitch deck, I'd have to make 3 more posters, and these posters would work as a series for what I am showing, because there are 3 other ads here that are not my client, and you don't want to show that. Okay, so I've shown you how to go get Photoshop mockup templates at mockupworld.co or anywhere else you find them where they're free. I've shown you how to just go on Google or any of the other free royalty-free websites, find high quality images and use those as the background for your mockup templates. I've shown you how to work in Photoshop on the mockup templates, where you double click on these Your Design Here PSB files to open a separate file, put your artwork here, save it, and see it magically rendered into the mockup template. You can also affect things like the background and other various elements of the mockup template as the template designer allows you to. I've shown you your InDesign template that you will work with. Again, you can just use it as this very neutral template, or you can customize it to more match the voice of the overall visual identity you're developing. It is your choice. The template will include, at the minimum, these pages that I've provided you, which include the title, summarizing sentences about your client and what they're all about, your primary attributes your visual identity is trying to communicate, the logos, any other brand elements, the corporate identity, business card, letterhead, and envelope, and your other 3 things that you've designed, followed by a thank you slide. You will save this, you will package this, you will export out a PDF under File, Export, save it as PDF, and that PDF is what you will submit to Canvas and present to the class as the final. Good luck and happy designing!